All right, welcome to the second and last part of the Excel errors. Yes, you're welcome. And if you are just seeing this video, this is probably the first video you're seeing in this entire playlist. We've covered a lot, and more importantly, you should check out the part one of the Excel errors. Okay, so look at some other errors we have, and we'll be exploring them. For example, text as numbers, and the definitions are already here. What could likely cause them? No, we'll just see this as not necessarily particular to a function that we use, right? But they still happen. How do we correct them? How do we handle them? So let's go to our data spice and bring in a data set. So now, do not forget, I believe I mentioned slightly somehow in the part one that when you're working with functions, right, or when we have text acting as numbers. This could be because we import from another source. Yeah, I mentioned something like that. But that's not the point. Let's just get into what we want to do. So I'll click on data. I want to import. Now this is from an external source. Okay. So we can connect Excel to external data sources. So I'll click on from text to CSV. If you're using earlier version, okay, to avoid getting the text to column thing, so do it from your get data, then from your file, then you use this. If you're using, I think 2013 or so, yeah, so that you don't get the text to split option, a text to column, I mean. So I want to bring in an external file, a flat file. Flat file is basically a file that is exported from a system, okay? In essence, it's not connected to the source. So when the source is updated, it does not get updated. So those are flat files. So I'll click on this, then I'll open my desktop. It should be here. Okay, so we want to bring in this data set. You can see from the preview window, there is a CSV file, which is comma separated value. All right, so I'll import that. And of course, it's going to pop up the gateway to Power Query window. Yeah, not necessarily the Power Query window, but the gateway to the Power Query. So I'll just click on load. I'm not transforming at this point. By the way, if you click on transform, you enter the Power Query where you can do your cleaning more efficiently. Most times when you're connected to an external data source. So Power Query will be your good go-to so that when the data is coming in or is being refreshed, it goes through all the series of steps you have applied already in Power Query. You don't have to do them manually again. Let's click on load. In this case, I'll just ignore that and click on load. Okay, so I'll close this window by the side, and this is what we have. We have this nice looking data set. I don't know if it's nice looking, but it's okay. But we can easily tell that we have some errors. That's because it's small, data is small, right? That's how we can easily point out the errors. But what are simple tricks to check out if the data could have errors? I mean, since this is in a table, if your data is not in a table, you can just quickly put it in a table, okay? And how do we check? By clicking on the drop down, the first thing is that you see the list of all the values you have. Scroll down, and at the end, you'll be seeing or you'll get if there is an error or there is no error. So now this is telling us that we have blanks. That's why we have blanks there at the bottom. So we have blanks. We click on this. We have all the normal ones. Any abnormal thing will be found at the bottom. You'll find them at the bottom. So this also have blanks. All right, I'll click OK. Let's check this. This also have blanks. We have the date nicely formatted. By the way, it's not a real data, it's a synthetic data. You might know those people by name, but they are not real people. It's just a random synthetic data. Keep that in mind. Okay, so this is another one. Now you can see the abnormality here. ABC is at the bottom, 150 is at the bottom, blanks is at the bottom. Right, these are the issues with this data. So we can either flag that column, which is one way. So you know that, oh, I'm coming to do something in here. Just flag it for now. So just give it a red background and just flag it that way that, oops, there's an issue with this column. So let's check this. Okay, just blanks here. We have blanks there. Here we also have blanks, but we have 5. Okay, that's another issue. I'll click on that and flag it as well. For country, just blanks. All good, just blanks. All good, just blanks. And the last one, click on the last button, all good, just blanks. So let's see if there's a common blank. Oh, okay, right here. This is the blanks we have. So let's take out the last row. And yes, the blanks should be gone. If we check again, okay, you can see we don't have the blanks again. Let's just check any random one. Let's check the name. You see we don't have the blanks again. Let's check the last one. You see we don't have the blanks again. All right, we don't have the blanks anymore. I mean, so that is that about that. Now we have this data right here. I'll just correct this too. Since this is 150 in words, right? I might as well just correct it to figure. We're not doing data cleaning, do not forget, okay? So we just want to consider some errors that will likely happen. And if we should perform calculation directly with this will actually be an error. So alt equal to, boom, we're getting 0. And you'll be surprised too as why we're getting 0. You'll be surprised why we're getting 0. Okay, let's leave that for now. That's not the point. Let's delete it. I'll delete that empty. I'll delete that. So what if I just put a sum here? Let's put a sum by the side. Now, it's probably what you know what you're thinking, okay? So let me just highlight a few. And I'm getting 0. That's a problem. But let's fix these ones first. So here we have 150. So I'll change it to 150. And boom. But wait, what's going on? This is right aligned. These are things you should look out for, okay? And other values are left aligned. What could be the problem? By default, we know that numbers are right aligned and texts are left aligned. If you look at it, texts are always left aligned. Texts are left aligned, while numbers are right aligned. So what can we do? We can say we want to highlight, for example. Let's do that. Okay, the ABC here, we don't know what to fix it in, but let's leave that for now. And go home, number format, and say, let's say format as numbers. And then we'll remove the value. Of course, this is not data type. It's just formatting. So it's still not doing anything for us. It's still not changing. And that is why if we do something like a sum, just as we did earlier, so let's do a sum again. Now look at what happened. Let's use the first 3 or first 5. First 5. What am I getting? I'm getting 150. Do not forget the first error we're looking at is text as numbers. Numbers are formatted as text, preventing calculations. That's what we are seeing now in real time. Okay, or let me even see if we can keep this data on. Let me just copy a little bit of that data. Let's just see, copy up to this point. Control C. Keep it here. All right. Okay, now it's showing the green flag. Earlier, it was not showing the green flag. Okay, but let's undo. Let me see if I paste as text, whether that will not, as values, I mean, maybe that will not be there. Okay, it's still there. That's fine. Let's leave it. So then I can hide this. Just hide it. Don't need it for now. Okay. Oh, that should be in our data spice, but it's okay. Our data spice data is gone. That's not a problem. Now, again, I want to calculate the sum of all these numbers. So let's put in a random figure here, 500. Now, you can tell that the way they are aligned are different. So if I do a sum and I highlight this, I hit enter, 650. What is happening? It's completely ignored all of these values. Let's say you're probably using earlier versions. That might show an error, maybe a value error. You remember? Trying to perform a mismatched data type. But Excel just ignores them completely. Just ignores them completely. What can we do? Let's start with the first one. I say convert to number for me. Boom. Immediately added it to that place. You do this, convert to number. Boom. It automatically added it. So I can highlight. But the problem is, if now I highlight everything, because I've included the ones that are normal, the ones that are abnormal, it's not going to show me the way to correct this. So for example, if I highlight all of this now, okay, if I highlight all of this, I can get the value directly. You can see it's incrementing this as we go, right? It's incrementing it. So let's correct this as well. Now, the case is I have correct ones between them. If I highlight, and for example, I'm not getting this for any reason, what is the best way to handle this, right? So let me add a new column. Let me undo, 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 undo. Okay, we just have 2. It's calculating for 2. What can we do? Control Shift plus. Your number is behaving as text, so we'll say amount. Then we can put in a pound sign just to denote a kind of currency, something. A pound sign. So what do? We use the value formula. It says convert a text string to a that represents a number to an actual number. That means to a number itself. So I'll click on the first one and I enter. I fill it out. My data is not in the table, so I don't get the autofill. You can see that it has now corrected it for us. So if I drag this formula forward now, I'm now getting the correct value. See, the sum of all of this, I'm now getting the correct value. So these are some errors you can also get, and that's why it's important that you don't ignore the green flag. Like we said there, the last one, it says ignoring error flags. Ignore green triangle, and this has a green triangle, which can lead to the silent calculation error. So do not ignore them. That's what I'm saying. Do not ignore the green flag. So we have touched this and we have looked at this. So I might just as well green them out together. Okay, so we have looked at these two. So in case you're trying to convert something like that, that's how you do it. So we have been able to fix that problem. Now, hidden spaces, exact extra spaces, extra spaces in cells that prevent lookup. For example, we know in the world of data that these two are not the same. Item, you see there's a small space here, then item without space. They are not the same. Or it can even be in form of lowercase and uppercase. For example, item is not the same as item. See, let's do something. Is this equal? I know newer versions have ways of doing things. Yeah, that's why I get in it true. But if we were to use this in pivot table, for example, you will know that they are not the same. Let me show you what I mean. Let me put it there. Yeah, replace it. Let me put another item in here. I think I'll do all capital now. Item, and then I'll do item. So see, we have 4 different kind of items. So if I should put this in a pivot table, for example, so I put this in a pivot table, yeah, this worksheet in here. I'll just click on this cell here and show me. So I have a new pivot table. So I check on item. Okay, the newer version is still able to outsmart me, which is good. So 365 or newer version just makes things cool for you. Okay, just makes things cool for you. But in reality, they are not the same in the world of data. This can cause error, this can cause error, this can cause error. Let's add space. Now space should be able, let me undo that first, bring back our pivot table. So let me add space to this. Okay, let me see if I refresh this. What will it do for me? Oh, it just disappeared. So let's see now. Okay, it was able to clean up for me, which is nice, very, very nice, even though I still have my space here. But if I do that manually myself, let me delete the pivot table. If I do that manually myself, so bring that up, bring that up, bring that up. Do not forget that this one has just a single space, see, just one. But here, there is no space at all. So if I say, is this equal to this? So I'm getting false. Just that space, that extra space. Okay, so that's how critical and how detailed Excel can be, or analytics to analytical tools can be. Then let me limit that to Excel only. So how do we correct it? So let's just simulate that. So let's say in our VLOOKUP, now we have a VLOOKUP here. So instead of 201, I'll put 2 space 01. And immediately you see that became an error. It immediately said There is no function with that. Okay, it seems there's a lot going on here. So what I'll do is copy all of this, Control C, and come to our other data error. I'll paste it down here so you don't get confused. Come back here, copy this, and then paste it here as well. Let me paste it in front this time so you see what we're doing. And of course, I'll delete all of this value, make this bold, Control B. Now let's do something. So I will intentionally add space. I see at the back, just one space. Again, there's no space yet. One space, enter. And that's all I want to do. So I'll just delete and make this Control C here, paste that here. And we have 202 in here. Let me put 202 in here. And I'll just delete the rest. Let's keep it simple and short. Okay. So this is what I want. I'll add a single space to that. Now let's do a VLOOKUP value, a VLOOKUP formula. And it's going to be match anything at all. So this is my formula. You can see 201 exists, but there's a space in there. Where's my table? Oh, okay. That is supposed to be in here. So it should be correctly typed in here. Oh, it's even limited. It took it out for me. Nice. So let me put it between like this. Okay. And you can see that it's now formatted to the right, or it's now left aligned, which means it's acting as a text, not a number. So you can tell there's a difference already. But let's ignore that for now and see what we can do. Let me see if adding extra spaces after will work. Okay. I hope it did not take out my space. It did. It had another space. It still did because they are numbers anyway. So if they were text, let's say they were text, it won't do that. So let's use this VLOOKUP. I've selected my lookup value. Like I said, you should know what I'm doing by now. If you don't, do well to check out the lookup value video, the lookup function video. Okay. Then what do I want to return? I want to return column 2, then false as usual. You remember that? Good. And boom, NA. Why am I getting NA? Just because of the space. So what can I do? I can either trim, right? Because this is common. So you're not sure whether there are spaces or not. Of course, you should be sure. You should check your data, clean it up, and all of that. But in case it's just a quick thing, you're not sure what will happen, and you're trying to of course, this is giving me a text. So let me just take it out completely. So you're trying to, I'm not sure what I'm saying. You're trying to, yeah, do something quickly. So it's a quick one. You just want to find out something and then you're getting errors like this. So what do? You take them out. So if I correct that, so extra spaces. So let's change all of this lookup value to something like text. LPT 201. Okay, let's do it that way. Let's say PHN, just so that the ID can be text. You get the idea. You understand what I'm saying now. Let's say tab, and then this as well. I'm not sure what to use for monitor, but just keep it this way. All right. So this will now be LPT hyphen, then a single space. Of course, this is blank 1999. We still keep that. That's for PHN hyphen, and I'll add space behind. All right, good. Now there's a space behind this because it's a text. The space is in there. If you see my cursor, yeah, front, back, front, back. If there's nothing there, it wouldn't have moved. You get the idea. Okay. So here now we want, yeah, the formula bar was where you were supposed to look earlier. I'm not sure if you did. So I'm saying this is my lookup value and it looks the same, right? LPT 200, LPT 200, it's the same. Is it not? It is the same. But what's the problem? Oh, there's a space in here. So if I remove the space, look at it. Boom. Now I've removed the space. So let's put in the trim, 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 and put, okay, it's not letting me do that directly in the formula bar or in the lookup function. So that means I'll need to trim that before I pass it in here, right? I will need to do that before I pass it in here. So it's either I trim my function here, that means I can create a new column, which will be clean ID. Okay, so let me highlight this. I'll say insert, shift cell to the right. Yeah, shift cell right. Okay, so it has shifted them. So I'll say clean lookup. I'll say lookup. So the actual lookup ID will be here, which should be the clean version. I'll fill this down now. Let's fill it down first. So you can see it's all NA. Why? But PHN and 202 is the same. No, there is a little error in there. There is space. See, we added space at the back. See, it's so tiny to notice, but it is there. We might deny it, but Excel cannot. We can overlook it, but Excel cannot. So what do? We do a trim. Then we'll select this, enter. So I'll fill this down. Okay. Now, if I reference this instead, this one without extra space, okay, I think we have something in here. LPT 201, 201. So it is trimmed. Then what am I missing? LPT 201, right? Is there any space here? No, there is no space. So let me paste it in here. Okay, undo that. It's important we find out what the problem is. Okay, space is between here. The trim did not do the job for us, right? The trim did not do the job for us because of the hyphen we have in there. So we'll correct that ourselves and we'll get the answer, actual answer. As well, oh, we can't find this. Okay, the space is still here and the trim seem not to trim the space for us. What is going on? That is supposed to be clean. That is supposed to be clean. I'm not sure why that is not happening. And look at it. If I clean it myself, I take out the extra space from this place. Okay, PHN 202. PHN. Oh, okay. That's not the space error. So I'll leave back the space there. Let's check it. That's the table. The table has moved. You can't find that again. So let's look at our table range. Very important. Now this is another error. I think I have it. Yeah. Okay, yes. Relative versus absolute reference mix. It says copying. When you're copying formulas without locking necessary cell, this can cause incorrect calculation. So you see that it will feel frustrating, like I'm doing everything right, but you're not. Like I said, the computer, Excel cannot be wrong. We can be wrong, but not Excel. Okay. So what do? I go back here. I know it's showing me a lot of values. I don't know. You see all of them. Very nice thing. I'll lock it, F4, and enter. And boom, you can see that even though we have the space, or if I can add more spaces, the trimmed version is able to get us what we want. And for any, we know because this do not exist. Or if I just delete this, it's just blank. That means it does not exist. I'm trimming nothing, so you could not find it. So yes, and now we've covered this, and hidden space is this. Nice, now we're covering two together. Okay, so what else should we look at? We have another function where we have coding numbers in a function instead of referencing a cell. And this is it. This happens a lot of times. For example, let's say we have a tax value and want to calculate the net profit. So after deducting the cost of goods, so everything we've spent, the tax, everything, we want to have a net profit. And let's assume the tax is 5%, which is say 0.05 or 0.5. Is that 5%? 0.5. Okay. 5%, right? 5 divided by 100. please. Let's check. Come on. Okay, I just typed that. Let me put equals to, please. Yeah, 0.05. Yes, not 0.5. So 0.05. 0.5 is 50%. So 0.05, yes, that's correct. Um, and we want to multiply that by some value, right? We want to multiply that by some value. Unless we want to um, increase the price of our, what's it called? Of our, we want to increase the price of our amount, right? And then we're doing something like this. This, we want to multiply by 2. And now, let's say we have different values, right? Okay. The best one to use is probably, let's try, I don't want to use a complex example. I know HLOOKUP can simulate that kind of problem. XLOOKUP can simulate that kind of problem. Why is that? Because we're passing index number directly, right? We're passing index number and then we want to drag the formula and then we're not getting what we want. So let's try with this guy. Where's our lookup function? We should simulate that with this. So the column, the second column. So let's say we have another, let me just insert, shift cell right. Oops, undo that. I'm supposed to highlight everything, but let me just bring this back instead. And then we have price. Okay, so we have price of the laptops. Let me just use run between. We covered this in, not run direct, run between. We covered this in mathematical function. If you missed that, do well to check it out. Let's just say 100 to 500. Okay, so this is what we have. I'll fill this down. Good. I'll remove the formula. Okay, formula is gone. Nice. So what do we want to do? We want to pull the price. So we can drag the formula forward. Okay, but before we drag the formula forward, in this case, what we have to do is come back here. Because we know that when we drag the formula forward now, it has changed. The lookup value has changed to laptop. But in the first place, let's include this in our range. Okay. So drag the formula. Now, the first thing we need to do here is to check that. Now, for VLOOKUP, this is not working because the lookup value is laptop. It changed to laptop in this case. Let me use this so that I don't get confused. Now, the lookup value changed to laptop in this case, and it cannot be found on the leftmost column of our table. So VLOOKUP cannot work. So we want to keep this fixed, this column fixed, but not the row, right? I want to keep the column fixed, but not the row. So I'll keep column G. So I'll just lock column G, but not the row because I'm dragging it down. You can see the dynamic or dynamism of the formula. Okay. Yes, this is what I want. Oh, trim, undo, escape. What did I do? Okay, undo. Am I still having trim here? Undo again. Undo. Okay, come here and lock column G. That's all. And then I fill it down. Okay. Now, in my column, locking the wrong thing. Just hold on. Okay, I locked column G for trim. I'm supposed to lock column H. Yes, this column is H here that I'm supposed to lock. Column H, lock that way. I drag forward, and you can see that it's showing me laptop. Why? Because the lookup value did not change, right? We locked that column. We're saying column H should be locked so that when I drag forward, it doesn't switch the lookup value to laptop. It doesn't change the lookup value to laptop. And this way we can still drag it down and our lookup value will still change for individual ones, right? The row will change. If you don't understand what I'm saying, if you don't get all of this explanation, do well to check out there was a dedicated video on cell reference. Okay, do well to check it out. That will properly take time to, we in that video it was properly explained with examples, so you might want to check out that video again if you have not, if you have before. Again, if you haven't at all, do well to check it out. So I lock the column, the row will change. Nice. Now the problem here is we typed in 2 manually, and let's say we want to drag across 2. Why is it returning 2? Because the column 2 is the product name, right? It's returning the name, but here we want to get the price. We want the price in this case. That's what we want. We want the price. So since we want the price, we need to change the number from 2 to 3. So that means I have to come here to manually change this to 3 before I can get the price. And that's not efficient. What if I have a longer column and I drag all the way down? That means I have to start changing one by one for all of them. Well, I don't want to do that. So what can I do? Because I had coded the number, yes, that is the way it's supposed to be. No doubt. No doubt. Okay. That is the way it's supposed to what? It's supposed to be, no doubt. Because it says column index number. If you're using a layer version and you reference a cell, you might get an error. Might. So here I'll put the number 2, and here I'll put the number 3. So I know this is column 1, and here this is column 1. So in this case, instead of putting 2, I'll reference this number. Then I'll hit enter, and I'm getting laptop. So if I drag now, you can see it automatically switched, and I'm getting the right answer. Okay, so let's drag the formula down. This is giving us ref error. Why is that? We lock the column. That is correct. So, okay, we are supposed to lock our lookup value. This one here, the column index. So D17. We'll lock that F4. Of course, majorly we're just supposed to lock the row in this case. So yes, let's do it the proper way. The column is not changing, but we will be dragging to the other side, right? So the column should change. So we should only lock the what? The row, not the column. So if I fill down, I'm getting phones. So dragging this way is correct, and dragging down will also be correct. So you can see the dynamics of mixed cell reference, right? We have absolute, we have relative combined together. And you can see why it's important to understand deeply what to lock and what not to lock. This can save you hours. It might take a while, your brain might struggle with it because it's a new concept. But once you understand it properly, boom, you become a wizard at that. Okay, so do what to take time out to watch our video again, and this again, watch it over again. Play slowly if it's too fast. Ensure you is it imbibe or take in, yes, absorb the concept and understand it simply. Okay, so that's very important to do. And yes, we have looked at coding numbers. So sometimes it's good to reference a cell. Most times when we want to drag. Why? Because when you put in a direct number, so it's placing fixed number in formulas instead of cell reference, leading to outdated data, right? And just start showing you something else that you don't want. Okay, that is another uncommon, or common. It's common, but not like it's showing you a function or an error directly. We know how not to present this kind of data again, right? So do well to include that in your own version of the solution. So handle this is a challenge for you, an exercise for you. As usual, that's the way the videos go. You have something to go home, you have something to do, you have your task. Okay. You're learning and you're doing, you can separate them. The best form of learning is doing, right? Yeah, that's not going to change. Okay. I hope it won't change. Okay, the next one is let's pick anyone. We have been doing it randomly, so let's just, since we have just looked at lookup, let's look at lookup range. It says not knocking let's say cell A1 or selecting the wrong table array. So that can automatically tell me it does not exist, and tell me it does not exist. For example, let's say I want to look for, this is my range, right? And we have seen it already when we did not lock, right? We saw that where we didn't lock. So again, I will unlock this table just to simulate that quickly. F4, F4, F4. So I've unlocked the table. I'll fill it down. And this is giving any Y because it's out of range. It's out of range. It could not find this thing within the selected range. That's because we did not lock it. So since we didn't lock it, it went out of range. That's basically what that is. So it's still more like the absolute referencing kind of thing. Similar, but these are different issues. So now that we logged it, if I fill down, I'm getting the correct value. So yeah, let's just put in the correct value. Then start with space, and then we say MNT, MNT 206, right? 206. So we just have one more. I can see everything is neat and correct, just that way. And here I'll intentionally type it this way, tab, but without the hyphen, 204. Tab 204. So it's still showing the error because we have an hyphen in our name. All right. Of course, the advanced way of doing this, can think of it. Let me, it just came like that. So when it comes, I just give it to you like that. Now, you can use a left function, do some calculation in here using a left function, a right function, and then you concatenate tab inside. You just combine those functions to get the right thing. What am I saying? Should I do it? This is what I mean. For example, to correct this, in this case, I can just say, using a concat, I can just say left this, then that will be 3. I want 3 characters, and hyphen, and right. So that's just another application. I'll select it again. I want 3. So I know, and boom, you can see it's corrected. So, but there's an issue here. The green flag says, oh, inconsistent formula. You didn't do that for this. It's telling me that I didn't do that, but I know. So in this case, I can what? Ignore. I can ignore. I'll just say ignore error. It says copy formula from above. Because it's expecting that the formula should be consistent, but you're using something else entirely in this case. Well, we know what we're doing, so we can ignore it. So that's one way to undo this. Okay, that's just another application for you. If you don't understand what I did, you might want to do well to check out the textual function. I think that was the first function we started with. So do well to check that out. Yeah, the range is gone. So let's take that out. Next one, let's jump randomly. Okay, circular reference. Let's do circular reference quickly. Now, circular reference happens when you're referring to a formula. You're writing a formula that refers to a cell itself. Referring to a formula, or a formula is referring to a cell where you're writing the formula. Yes. What does that mean? So I think at some point we had missing values, right? So let's just simulate it. I think the last one was not there before. Okay. So let's say I want to what? Apply. I want to replace this with the average of all of these numbers. Or let's do it more. Let's use this. Let's just delete this on its own. I want to replace all of this value with the average of the rest. So I can do that by saying, okay, yeah, this is 0. Empty. Yeah, I'll delete it again. So this is 0, right? So I want to replace it with the average of the rest. So I'll do average. So this is average here. I'll hit tab, opens, and I'll highlight. Now hit enter. Oops. Oh, there's a problem. No, yes, I know what you're trying to do, but it does not work that way. It says there are one or more circular references where a formula refers to its own cell, either directly or indirectly. We have an indirect formula actually, like indirect as a formula, but that's not for now. You can check it out. I think I told you to check it out. It's part of the functions that we have under the lookup functions, right? So this might cause them to calculate incorrectly. Try removing or changing this, and I put okay, so it's still showing me 0, and it's showing that green flag, right? Why? Because I'm including this cell itself in my calculation, and that's not supposed to be. It's called a circular reference error, and I'm sure if you're a Power BI user as well, you might have seen this before when you're writing a DAX function like that and it's circular reference. Now you know why. Okay, do well to leave that in the comment section if you've hit this kind of error before. Okay, so now you know why. Is because you're referring, the formula is referring to the cell where you are writing the formula itself. Okay, so how do you fix it? Of course, you know how to fix it. You correct that. You can either bring this outside, yeah, so do the average, yeah. So in this case, I can, to make it smarter, I'll just do equals to, yeah. Of course, there's nothing there for now, and I'll put an average of this, then this, right, which is a better way to do it. So I get the value, or in here directly, using my average. I will just highlight the first one, then go for the comma, then skip the rest, and then close it. So boom, I get it. So I don't need this guy outside here. So whatever works for you, just do it that way. Whatever you find more convenient. But you have seen the circular reference error. So let's take that out as well. Okay, so formula autocorrect. Yeah, sometimes accepting Excel formulas when it suggests the wrong range, right? When it suggests the wrong range of function. For example, you have, let's say we want to put this data into a table and we intentionally include, let's say, a major header. We're saying data, transaction, or orders table. Let's just call it orders table. Okay. So of course I want to format it to be centralized. Control 1, pop that up. Control 1, okay. And I'll put this here, justify across. All right, so it's centralized. If I want to put this data into a table now, look at what happens. Control T. Automatically, Excel has included my main title, but it's not part of my column header. And if I click OK, the problem is that it turns that, see what it did. See how it messed up everything for us. It's not Excel fault. We accepted accepted what it was trying to do for us. So that can also happen for formula or just doing when you're trying to showing you a wrong range. You just have to correct it. So do not accept it automatically. It's important. That's why I emphasize that you should know what is wrong, what you did wrong, and how as our best to correct it. Okay. All right, we have just two left. Let's read this. Unexpected merge cell issues. I've always mentioned it, and that is why we don't do merge cells here. Okay. If you're still doing merge and center, you're probably not following me. You're probably not following me. You're probably not seeing my video. So a better way is just what we have done here. So this does not mess up our structure. You can see there's still individual cells, and our data is actually in A1. Look at it, other stable A1. Once I come to B, there's nothing there. C, nothing there. D, so I still have my structure kept, and the value is still centralized. Okay. Of course, we'll still see this again when we're looking at data preparation, the formatting, and all of that. But do well to check out previous videos. I mentioned it at some point, maybe in the Excel ribbons. Yeah, the Excel ribbons. Do well to check that out. Okay, so unexpected data formats. When I have the date recognized as text or currency in wrong format. And these are some of the things we have always been seeing. So for example, we have dates. We have date here. Okay, now look at this transaction date. And you'll be, of course, if you have watched the date time function video, this is not strange to you. But if you're a first time watcher or first time subscriber or first time viewer, I don't know, whatever you call that, these are normal dates. But then they're acting as numbers, right? They're formatted as numbers. This is not the right format. So what can we do? We can either use date value. We have a formula called date value. See, it says to represent the date, recognize, convert a date in the form of text to a number that represents the date in the Microsoft Excel. This is what I want to do. I'm not sure that's what I want to do. Of course, it's showing me a value error. So in this case, you know what a value error is, and you know how to fix it. Now you know another reason for value error. So we can come here and change this properly to a short date. This is short date. Then there you go. You can perform calculations since it was appearing as number, you could have performed calculations on them, and that will not be good. That will not be nice. So yeah, that is that about the unexpected. So it's important that you format your data correctly, right? It's important that you format your data correctly. The more um, recent the version of Excel you use, the better the feature, right? That's just the way it is. There's some errors that you would have hit earlier, but Excel here just changes it and does it better for me. For example, one that I've been seeing commonly is the negative value, negative, let's say 200. Okay, so I will wrap that in a bracket, formatted red and all of that. Very nice. Okay, so these are the features that come with. But if you still want all of these features and you're not using the Excel 365, you're not using higher version, and you don't know where to get it, or you don't want to purchase it, the newer versions for now, you can do well to use WPS. It's open source, it's free, and it's compatible across Mac, Linux, and Windows. So do well to check it out. This is not a promotional video, by the way, but I use it and it's a good product. That's all. Okay. All right. So let's make this green. Let's make this green. Okay, and the last one, merge cell issues. I'll just screen it out and then we'll talk about it. Like I said, when you have a merge cell and trying to copy a formula down, things will break. So let's assume let's just merge this. Oops, it says skip value cancel. Let me delete the values there. So, all right. So I've merged the column. I've merged and centralized it. If I drag down, okay, you see it broke the merge. It broke the cell merging for me. And in cases now, this is just a should I say simple example. It could do something you will not like in actual sense. So most times breaking the structure, you can see I merged it before. Let me show you again for those who didn't get that. You can see this is a merge cell. It's a single giant cell now, you can see. But immediately I copy the formula down, and probably I don't want that. Probably I just want the single value in there. But immediately I bring the formula down, hold on. You see, it breaks my merge. It breaks it converts it to the normal structure. But in that case, you can do the opposite, where you have a merge cell, trying to copy things down, just distort what you're doing and all of that. So do well to avoid merge cell when possible. Okay, it's not professional, not so professional. You get the idea. All right, we have covered a lot, and I believe you've learned a lot in this video. So do well to leave a comment in the comment section, like the video, share with people with my benefit. Okay, yeah, beyond you, there are other people, oh, this person is actually using Excel for at work. This person is actually doing this. This person is learning this. You can be sure. You, from the value you've got, you're confident that they're getting premium value from this. So do well to share with them and they'll thank you for it. So the next thing we'll be looking at is the exercise, right? Having covered all of this, I have a master exercise for you, and that will help you practice all the functions we've covered, right? From textual functions up to lookup function, right? You'll be able to get your hands dirty, okay? And of course, if you want to share your work, do well to check the Telegram channel, join them. There are a lot of things posted, good resources, good and job opportunities as it comes as well. It's been posted there. Well, check it out, and I'll see you in the next. Right, do not forget, as usual, before I go, if the video was too fast, you can go over it again as many times as you need to, or you can just use the playback speed button to slow it down. And if I'm too slow for you, yes, I might be too slow, who knows, just triple it up, 2.0, right, 1.75, just move at your pace. All right, peace. I have to say that. Whatever. See you in the next one. Do well to master this.